And love, peace, and love. My name is Bubbles, and today is the first official astrology virtual party. Okay, these events have been in my spirit for some time now, and I'm just so happy to be here and to be finally doing it. There's so much that I would like to uncover and dig down and learn about with you all in these astrology parties. However, my spirit said today, let's just start off a bit simplistic. Let's get into the elements. Hello, beautiful. How are you? Peace and love. Thanks for joining. So, today we're going to be tapping into the different elements, okay? We're going to be discussing how to balance out those elements with practical tools, practical exercises, and then also how to take accountability for self when you may be using these elements, maybe when you may be overusing these elements, or how to emphasize using these elements if it's something that you may struggle with, right? So it's all about the elements today. We're going to go into some stuff about the zodiac chart as well. And yeah, we're just going to have some fun. The way that I'm going to start off before teaching and doing anything is that I would like us to take 3 collective breaths. So sit yourself in a comfortable position. You can put your hands at center if you'd like, and we're just gonna ground it out, okay? So let's take 3 deep breaths. And we want to ensure that we are inhaling from our nose and exhaling through the mouth, okay? All right. Take a deep breath in. And hold. And release. Another, take a deep inhale. And hold. And release. One more, take a deep inhale. And hold. And release. Give yourself a hug. Say, I love me. I am powerful. I am strong. I have everything that I need. I am balanced. I am grateful. I am breath. I am stillness. I am movement. I am everything, and everything is me. Amazing, amazing. So without further ado, let's get into the first reading, okay? So I am going to start off with my Witch's Wisdom Tarot deck, okay? And I'm going to do a reading for myself and whomever it resonates with. Trust and believe. I know that there's going to be others it resonates with, because we are reflections as we are human beings, right? So there's chances that you found this video for a reason, whether you're watching it live or you're tuning in later on. So I trust that this message that I'm going to be spitting out today, all of these messages really, I'm going to just truly practice vulnerability. And the reason why I say it's a reading for me first is because it's me first, and then whoever it is meant for will also receive it. God always makes sure of that. So I'm using my tarot deck, the Witch's Wisdom Tarot deck. The thing is though, these are minor arcanas that I'm working with today. So just a brief review. When it comes to tarot, there are 56 minor arcana cards, and then there are 22 major arcana cards. Arcana stands for secret. So that means that the major arcana are big secrets and the minor arcana are small secrets, right? So when it comes to the major arcana, it can be used to look at a whole perspective of something, right? And read from there. And then the minor arcana can be used for like our everyday type of things that we go through. So the reason why I'm using this deck is because it actually breaks down the minor arcana in elements. And before I even started really going in with studying tarot, this is a deck that I've used to literally do very successful readings. And when I say successful, it means that it resonated with the clients that I had, whom were friends that I started off with. And as I'm digging deeper now into my tarot and just expanding my knowledge and my practice, yeah, this deck is really special to me. And it's like, I was meant to work with it and it was meant to work with me. So shout out to the Witch's Wisdom Tarot deck. So do some shuffling. I was gonna split the deck, but it looks like there's two cards that want to come out, so I am not going to fight it. I'm going to ha 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 ha. How funny is that? Okay, so what I just pulled, y'all, is the Witch of Water, and I pulled the Witch of Fire. How divine is it that I just pulled water and fire, and those are opposite elements, and I've been talking about balance. So I want you to like look at it again. So before I read their the deck's like depiction of these, I would like to just take a look for myself. Let's actually start with the Witch of Fire, because that was the one that I first seen. So with the Witch of Fire, it is showing a woman and a snake around her. And on the side, it is showing, on one side, there is a candle burning, and on the other side are some herbs burning. And what's really funny is that I got my incense right here, even though it kind of like, you know, went out, but I definitely would love some aromatherapy right now. So yeah, so it has some herbs burning, and I feel like this is so very symbolic when it comes to just, oh, and she's holding a crystal in her left arm. And on her left arm, there's also a snake tattoo around, yo, that's wild. Okay. There's also a snake tattoo around her left arm. And then also she's wearing, if you look closer, she's wearing a necklace that has the scarab beetle on it, y'all. And she's also wearing a red turban. Oh my gosh, there's so much symbolism. Okay, so what I would definitely say is she got her aromatherapy going on. She's cleansing the space, so she's well aware of the, the presence of you being intentional with what you have around you. In addition to that, she also has the fire burning. So she has like the candle burning, representing the element of fire, and also more than just aromatherapy, but she's like cleansing the space. She has this energy of like cleansing the space. In addition, I would say that when it comes to like the crystal ball, it's like she's doing her reading. So she cleansed the space so that she's able to do her readings, right? She's able to create the environment that is good for doing her readings. You want to always cleanse your space. In addition to that, this scarab beetle is just representing like her divinity, her knowingness of self, her power of self, that feminine energy of just intuition and tapping into her magic. And I would say the snake that's around her and also around her left arm would be the sacredness of the snake, because a snake like represents like transformation, because a snake is one of the, like, it's really dope that a snake is an animal that sheds its skin, right? So it physically sheds its skin, which symbolically is showing the ability to grow, the ability to transform, the ability to lose the old skin and step into a new skin, right? So like newness. And the element of fire is also like rebirth. It's the symbolism of rebirth and regeneration, right? So becoming anew, the end and the beginning at the same time, life and creation in itself. I would say in the snake tattoo around her left arm is symbolizing the same thing. And I feel like the specific arm that she has it around is also the arm that is having the crystal ball. And just in case if you didn't know, left is to receive and the right hand is like to put out. So she's like receiving the transformation, and she's also receiving the magic that the crystal ball has to show her. So the magic, yeah, I said magic. So essentially the message that she's going to be receiving, she's open to receive it. Her hand is literally open to receive it, right? It has it inside, so she's open and receptive to receiving. The reason why I said this is wild is because lately it's been in my spirit to just get like another tattoo. I only have one for my little brother that transitioned, and it says my brother's keeper. And it's also very symbolic that I am my brother's keeper, as in all of the brothers that I have in my life, as far as not just blood brothers, but just my brothers, the men in my life, the men whom I meet. I'm always going to be their keeper and protect them as men, as we should be protected as women, and just that sacred balance. So I am my brother's keeper. Going back to the tattoo thing, I really heard one day during a meditation like markings, right? It was just like markings, and I just been feeling like I'm supposed to get some type of sacred marking, and I know that it's going to happen in divine alignment. But one of the things that was actually a memory, because I thought about this a long time ago and it came back to me, was that I thought about getting a tattoo like on my hand, or really like on my arm, and it being like a snake with an open mouth here, and like this whole thing just being like a snake with the open mouth. True word. And yeah, and then like it came to me the other day. So the fact that she has literally a snake on her left arm, it's interesting. And then I would have had it on my right arm, which is again putting out. So it's like I'm putting out the transformation. There's so much symbolism. Okay, so let's move on to the Witch of Water. So the Witch of Water is being represented by this mermaid sister, and she has seashells around her neck, around her shoulders, and then she also, her breasts are also bare, right? So it shows like this nakedness, this vulnerability. The water represents like the emotion, the intuition, the femininity. So it's like this nakedness, which like is sacredness, and this openness as well as what I'm seeing. And then she also has an offering, what I see as an offering of water. And I feel like the offering is, there's a fish right here. So it's almost like she's receiving the water from the sea, and then she's also offering it to like nature and to like the ancestors, and she's just ready to put out what she wants to receive. I realize in my own experience with giving offerings, it's like you'll give an offering and then you'll receive it back like 10 times fold. And it's truly magical the way it happens. I want to share with you a fun one that happened to me the other day. Is that I had bought like a few apples from the market, the farmer's market. So they was real apples. They wasn't store-bought apples, right? So I really cherished those apples, right? So what happened was I packed 2 apples in my bag and I went to go teach. And I knew that after teaching, I was going to go to vocal training. So those were really like the 2 snacks that I had. I had these 2 apples. I happened to eat one while I was waiting for like the children's parents to come pick them up in the cafeteria. And one of the students came up to me and was like, "Hey, Miss Bubbles, I want an apple." And the truth is, because I knew I only had one more apple, I'm like, dang. But then I'm like, I'm not about to tell this little boy, no, it's not like I don't have the apple to give him. So I'm like, I'm going to give him the apple. Like, come on, like, you know, and he's so sweet to me. He's always so sweet to me. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to give him the apple. So I gives him the apple. Do you know that that evening when I went home, well, I actually went to my aunt's house, right? And literally my aunt gave me an abundance of apples, and not just apples. She gave me an abundance of apples. She gave me an abundance of fruits. She just had a bunch of fruits, and she's like, "Hey, I know you're going home today, so I want to give you some fruits to go home with," because she knows I love fruits. So she gave me like legit like 10 apples. She gave me a bunch of mangoes. What else she gave me? She gave me sweet potatoes. So she gave me all of this abundance of fruits and veggies that I love. And it was just, it happened so closely to me giving out that one apple. So it just showed me, like, I thought about the little boy and me giving him the apple. And I'm just like, we need to release the idea of like holding on to things, because that is a lack mentality, right? Especially if you have to share. It's like, I already had my apple, right? So I can give the little boy an apple. And then when we give in the way where we're not afraid that we won't have enough to receive again, then we get that abundance. We get that offering in abundance when we are just open to giving, and then the energy is going to be reciprocated back. So that goes back into balance. So when we are giving, we're going to receive. But if we're just holding on to things and we want to be selfish and just don't want to share, then you're not allowing that space and energy to be able to receive what it is that you need and what it is that you want. So that's just a fun story about giving and receiving and the balance. So going back to these 2 cards, fire and water, Witch of Fire and the Witch of Water. I really love the symbolism that it's giving there. And I'm actually going to just stay with my, I'm going to really stay with my representation of what both were. But I'm just going to read, instead of reading the whole page, I'm going to just read the essence of what each is. So with the Witch of Fire, it says, "Look within, know yourself, and find gold in dark." So very similar to what I said about knowing yourself and knowing your magic and being open to receive the magic that is within us and outside of us holistically. This, the Witch of Water, says sensuality, pleasure, depth of feeling, embodied emotions, and permission. So again, water representing the emotions. And sensuality definitely is a great word, because remember I just mentioned her breast being out, so it's like this nakedness of it. So, and pleasure, right? And being open to receive the pleasure that the universe has to offer you through people, places, and things and experiences. So there's that. And then I'm going to do an I-Ching reading. And I feel like I would like to do another astrology party where I really just tap into I-Ching as the main idea, because it's really, what is that word? It's expansive. There's a plethora of information that I could share about I-Ching. However, I really want to focus on the topic of the elements today, so I'm just going to give a brief review. So the I-Ching is an ancient Chinese divination that uses numbers, and it uses a set of hexagrams, and the hexagrams are 6 lines that are made up of 2 trigrams. So tri, meaning 3, represents 3 of the lines, and then the other 3 are 3 lines. So 2 trigrams equals 6, which makes it a hexagram. Yes, you understand? And these share, similar to the tarot deck, it shares different like messages and information about like messages. And you know, the symbolism through the I-Ching as well is very big on yin and yang, so the balance of yin and yang. I want to share these with y'all. In I-Ching, there's the cards, but also with the deck comes 3 babies. There's these 3 coins, right? So 3 coins, and you use these to also create a hexagram yourself. So for instance, you'll roll the dice, or you'll roll the coins 6 times. You'll roll the 3 coins 6 times, and as you roll them, dependent on if it's heads or tails, 2 heads, 1 tails, 1 head, 2 tails, 1 head, 3 heads, or 3 tails, depending on what that is. That's how you create your hexagram, and then it'll be a reading for you. I'm gonna do that in a whole different event, but let me know if that resonates with you, or excuse me, let me know if you would like to learn more about that. But I'm definitely gonna do one, because I'm so into this. When it comes to like this specific divination, is something that just came to my spirit. When I tell you, I was just, y'all, it was just happening for me. One day it just kept coming up, and then one day I went to Barnes and Noble's that last time, and it said I-Ching, and it was just right in front of my face, and I was like, okay, I'm supposed to get this deck, because the fact that it just keeps coming up in this way is like, it's divine. And then I started reading the cards, and every single time that I would read them, like, it would just be so on point that sometimes I'm looking at it like, yo, why is this so on point right now? Without further ado, I'm going to get into an I-Ching reading, and then we're going to speak about the elements. Okay, it happened again. All right, so one card just came out, like it is like I was about to keep shuffling, and then this card was like, I want to come out, and I'm like, okay, I got you. So this is what I just pulled, and it's an 8, and it is seeking union. So it says, good fortune at the origin of oracle consultation, from the source ever flowing constancy, no mistake, not at rest, coming on all sides, for the late comer pitfall. It says, you are searching for connection and belonging, creating a new world out of relationships. Following energy flowing from source, you can make the right choices while using self-examination to avoid mistakes. Beware of increased demands made of you, adding stress. Try not to procrastinate and miss the connection. Where do you belong? Is this a good fit? Do you choose to join? So this is really such a beautiful reading for me right now, because within the past, I guess, week, a big message for me has been releasing some obligations, and releasing these obligations without fear that I'm not doing enough, and simply to lighten my load and to ensure that it's quality over quantity, and that I'm not just all over the place just doing stuff, just marketing this, marketing that. I'm over here doing this, doing that. And it's like, to be quite honest, going back to elements, like I'm sun and moon, like fire. I'm sun and moon Aries. So that is like fire. So I can be like, let's get this done, let's get this done, let's get this done, let's get this done. And while I tap into that fire energy, it can be very productive as far as like how much I'm getting done. And honestly, even like I go in with when I do stuff, so it's like the quality of work is also good. There used to be times where I used to rush stuff and like the quality wasn't as good, but nowadays it's like, nah, I be doing a lot, but then I'm also making sure I'm putting quality into it. But then at the same time, when I do all of that, I'm burnt out at the end, right? And then I just want to rest, and then I want to be lazy and I don't want to do nothing. So it's about finding the balance within that, and truly taking a look at your life and the things in your life and the things happening, and prioritizing things and being like, you know what? I don't have to do this right now. Like, I can release certain obligations so that I can have peace of mind, because peace of mind is way more important than what another person will think or say about you. Like, who cares? Let's release all of that. Release all the shame, release all the guilt, release all of the doubt. Everything that is meant for you will always be for you. And I realized that within my life, that it's like your gift can also be, like, for lack of a better word, like a curse. And it's like it's like all of the positives that your gift have can also have like a negative aspect. And essentially, it's like, in my own experience, because truth be told, I have visions of like future happenings, and I get messages a lot about all of the things I'm supposed to be doing, even about other people and certain things they're supposed to be doing, or going to do, I should say. Not supposed to be, but they're going to do. And there can be times when, in me having this gift, that I'm like, okay, I seen this for myself, so let me do it all now. Let me do it all this summer because it's nice outside in New York, and I want to utilize the temperature, and let me just do it all now. And then I had to really take a step back and be like, you know what? Just because I've seen this future for myself, I know that this is where I'm heading. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And yes, it's great to be intentional. It's great to be intentional about the steps that I'm making towards the goals that I have. I need to ensure, again, that it doesn't lead to burnout, and that I'm not trying to do every single thing. It's like you get these visions of your future, and you're like, oh, okay, Spirit, I heard you. So I'm going to do all of this to get to that. And it's like, I realize that Spirit Most High, like when you get messages in this way, it doesn't know time. So it's not like you'll get a message, right? And, well, you tell me if this happens to you, because this is the message I got the other day and I trust it. And it's like, I would not ever get a message and it'd be like, you're going to do blank in this amount of time. Like, it don't be like, Spirit don't be like, all right, Bubbles, you're going to have a love circus bus and travel the world doing performing arts and education, and you're going to do it within 3 years. Spirit don't talk like that. It don't be like, oh, this love circus that you're going to have it in 5 years, in 10 years, you're going to have it in 3 months. Spirit don't speak like that. it just gives me the message that you are going to be doing this. And what I realized, my interpretation of that is that, like, true, what's meant for you will be for you, but it's like we have the power to like alter our fate. Like we have the power to essentially create that reality for ourselves quicker or slower than, it's like, I don't even want to say meant to be, because it's like it's all in divine timing. And with me, I've been realizing just taking a step back from things and learning how to rest, learning how to really just hone in on meditation and solitude and journaling and actually doing the work, and not necessarily just going to a bunch of events and being around a bunch of people, but just truly honing in with self and doing the work. That's when I literally just wake up. You know, I don't go straight to my phone. I'm doing the work. But then when I finally go to my phone, it's like all these opportunities, as if God was like, yeah, I just need you to detach from all of this instead of trying to force the things that you want to happen in there. I just need you to do your work. I need you to do your self-love work, your curriculum that you've created. I need you to do your work, and everything will just start to attract for you. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to chase it. But you doing your own, again, work, your shadow work, doing all of that, that's how you truly manifest the things that you see for yourself. And it's not about if everyone online or even your friends around you see it. It's not about that, because God sees it, right? God sees it. And that's what I feel like we need to just start putting like more energy into. And I'm even going to just speak for me. I would like to put more energy into just doing the work and knowing that God knows my heart, God knows my intentions, and God sees it, instead of trying to, like, this social media thing can get tricky, because it's like, honestly, there was just really a time in my life where I didn't share much of anything I was doing on social media because I just wasn't into it. And I would share here and there, like pictures and all that, but I wouldn't be so much into sharing. But then there's like this business aspect, especially as I started my business, and when it comes to marketing, it's like, yeah, you know, I would even meet people sometimes and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this, this, and this, and they're like, oh, like, I didn't see a video of that, like, or why didn't you share that? You know, that's an offering that, you know, people would be interested in. And so it's like that balance of finding like, okay, let me share that this is an offering, this is a service that I'm providing, but then also not getting too wrapped up where you're not present in the things that you are doing. Even like at events and stuff like that, I tend to be honest with you, when I do like Bubbly Love workshops, which is like mental health workshops, I tend to get footage of everyone else doing their thing, but when it's time for me, I don't really get a lot of footage. And it's because I don't want to be like holding safe space for others and be like, all right, so we here, da, 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 da. And it's like here and there I can like capture some or whatever, when maybe like the real work is done, like all of the tears and emotions have stopped, and then I'm like, all right, y'all, we just did this, like, right? But like when the work is actually happening and people are crying and people are releasing, I just feel like that's not the time to be recording. It's the time to be present. It's the time to be compassionate and loving with your brethren and sistren. And that's my perspective of that. So without further ado, my spiel, I would like to get into the elements now. I actually did a reading for a sister, and it was like late. It was like 4 a.m. And honestly, like, I've had a few different readings prior to me doing hers, but specifically this one, I just started going in when it comes to like elements and the characteristics of them, and just, you know, so I actually wanted to read, I'm going to just read the fire element today, but I will briefly go through all of the rest of the elements and the characteristics of them. So, because today is fire, today is focusing on fire. That's why we got the red, we got the red, we got the red. That's what I said. We got the red. That's what I said. We got the red. Okay, so red is a color that can be symbolized by fire symbolism. All right, y'all. Let's talk about the zodiac and all of the elements of the charts. And I'm actually going to say the dates too. I had to write them down because the dates could get a little confusing, especially like the numbers and stuff. So I wrote it down for my visuals. So let's start off. We're actually going to just go in order from Aries to Pisces in order from the 1st to the 12th sign, and then say the element, okay, and the dates. So Aries, which is me, sun and moon, baby, double outside. So Aries is a fire element, which is March 21st through April 19th. Taurus is an earth element, which is April 20th to May 20th. Gemini is an air element, and that's May 21st to June 20th. Cancer has a water element, and that's June 21st to July 22nd. Leo is a fire element, and that is July 23rd to August 22nd. Virgo is an earth element, and that is August 23rd to September 22nd. Libra is an air element, and that's September 23rd to October 22nd. Scorpio is a water element, and that is October 23rd to November 21st. Sagittarius is a fire element, and that's November 22nd to December 21st. Capricorn is an earth element, and that is December 22nd to January 19th. Aquarius is an air element, and that is January 20th to February 18th. Pisces is a water element, and that is February 19th to March 20th. So as a review, I'm going to say the zodiac signs within their elements. Fire element signs: Aries, Sagittarius, Leo. Okay. Earth zodiac signs: Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. Air elements zodiacs: Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Water zodiac signs: Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Okay, amazing. So now that we got all of that in check, I want to focus on fire. I would like to read my notes in the breakdown of elements, and then I'm going to give you a brief summary of the other elements. All right, so I also have my baby right here. This is a book that is written by my Gila family, Joshua Barnes, and it's by La Familia, really. And they go into the mudras and asanas and pranayamas and meditations that's connected to each element. Hey Glenn, how you doing? Peace and love, my brother. So I'm like, just for that, I'm gonna just do the mudras. So all right, let's do the first mudra. So hold on, why? I'm like, that's 3. Okay, that's 3. Okay. So this is a mudra called Agni or Surya mudra, and this is for fire. It's a fire element mudra. Okay. Here is my breakdown of a fire element. Fire represents action, initiative, leadership, focus, drive, ambition, dedication, determination, counsel, warrior, willpower, truth, honesty, birth, rebirth, impulsive, spontaneous, creativity, and confidence. Excuse me. Fire has the superpower of manifestation and destroying old ways of being to create the life you desire. An overuse of fire energy can result in abuse of power, destruction, anger, rushing, attack, overdoing things leading to burnout, overgiving, overconsumption, overstimulation, greed, gluttony, doing more than is required, overextending yourself, draining yourself. An underuse of fire energy can result in being a pushover, not standing firm on ideas, being lazy, having ideas and not acting upon them, mistrust, lying, going in loop of experiences that keep you stagnant, complacency. To help balance fire energy, you can practice stillness, meditation, grounding, journaling, transmuting emotions into art, free expression, movement, what you love to do. Impulsive can be a positive if the energy is used towards the action of doing things that you enjoy and thus will benefit self and others for growth and birth of new ideas and insights, strength to follow intuition and take actions aligned with higher self. So I would like to tap into that. So when it comes to fire, like I mentioned, like it can be looked at as, quote, the impulse, right? Impulse can be looked at as a negative at times. Like when somebody's like, oh, they're impulsive, right? That can a lot of times be looked at as negative. However, if we're using that fire, that impulsive energy to be in alignment with what it is that you're meant to do, you're supposed to do, especially if you are giving something, right? Then that impulse can be used again as a superpower. For instance, if you just happen to have this random spontaneous idea to come on social media and share something that you just received from spirit, which I tend to do a lot. And it's kind of interesting because while I practice not thinking about how many likes I get, it's just a reality, right? But there are times where I literally just get a message and I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna share this message. And the thought is kind of like, I don't really care how many likes I get. Like, I don't know if anybody's gonna resonate with this because it's kind of, I don't know. Those be the ones that I get the most likes. And I'm saying likes not to like measure the value, but I'm talking about that people write and they're like, they resonate with it. They're like, yo, that message was powerful. I resonate with that. Like, those be the messages. But then it be kind of like, I don't know, it's so interesting. But when I'm telling you that I listen to spirit and it just gives me these random messages, these impulsive messages, and I'm like, I'm gonna just hop on right now and talk about it and not like think about what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna just say it. Those be the ones that people are like writing on the comments like, yo, Bubbles, word, thank you so much, I needed that today, da 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 da. And I'm like, you're welcome. And I'm more so like, actually, thanks, spirit, you know. But what I thank myself at is, thank you, me, for trusting me and sharing what I know that somebody was gonna receive. Everything that I'm doing, I'm like, I know that somebody's going to receive it. So what I have been working on is just staying consistent and sharing, whether 3 people like it or 300 people like it, because I know that it is still of value, because somebody's going to find it and it's going to empower them. And that's the type of teacher that I am. The reason why I love to teach is because I love to empower others with information, which with with wisdom. Let me go on there. With wisdom. And wisdom comes from experience. It doesn't just come through what you read. Like earlier when I just did my reading, I was like, let me speak from my intuition rather than read what's in the book. What's in the book is amazing. It's great to read the book as well. It's great to empower yourself in that way as well. It's great to add new insights and ideas to you. But the only true, like, that inner wisdom though, that be messages that you're not going to read in no book. It's just going to come from within you, and that's what you're supposed to share. And it's for you to share. It's like your very customizable message for the world. And that's why I'm so big on free expression and just being yourself in whatever way you see fit, because there's something special that only you can do. There's something special that only I can do. There's something special that only we can do together, right? So just trusting that and staying consistent in that. And with that being said, I'm gonna keep moving on, and I'm actually not gonna read this anymore. I'm gonna speak from my spirit. So let's move on to, I am gonna go into the mudra though. What I'm reading is the mudra, but I'm gonna talk about the elements from my spirit, because I have a whole bunch of notes here. But it's like the way that I created these notes was like my inner wisdom. And honestly, I'm probably going to share something else that I'm meant to if I'm not just like reading. So let me like take it back for a second. Alright, so the mudra for water is Varuna mudra. And this is this. So you want to tap into some waters. You want to tap into some waters. This look like I don't know if I say it. I'm gonna share this on YouTube. But it looks like how a woman could pleasure themselves. That's what I'm gonna say. That's hilarious. And this stands for water. This represents water. That's the mudra. All right, cool. So when it comes to the symbolism of water, right? That is the emotions. That is the intuition. That is the sensuality. Yes, the sensuality. That is also, did I say femininity? That's like the feminine, yeah, like feminine energy. That togetherness energy, like the beautiful, like I'll also say like, yes, beauty. Also like flow, right? If we think about the characteristics of water, it would be also like flow, right? It would be communication. So the ability to communicate, that's connected to intuition. So you receiving the intuition is your ability to communicate, like the throat chakra, right? Communication can be through the mouth, right? Speaking. Or communication can also be through art. So it's also like creativity. So the flow, the art, like you can dance, the movement, right? It's all communication. Okay, next. Let's do earth. I'm going to show you the earth. These mudras are hilarious because there's so many mudras. But I love this book. And I want to shout out Joshua Barnes and my familia. So this one, okay. So this would be the Prithvi mudra, and this is to tap into the earth element. This is a mudra that you can do. Alright, so when it comes to earth element, right? Earth element is stability and groundedness. Oh, you know what? I want to talk about the imbalance of the elements too. So real quick, before we get into earth, I just want to say when it comes to water, an imbalance of the elements or like characteristics that it can lead to is like, okay, or let's not even look positive, negative. I just want to talk about balance. You can be crying too much, right? Or crying a lot, right? That's like water. Right? That's water. And that's not a bad thing, but it's just a representation of water, of emotions. And crying also has a science to like you releasing like toxins, you releasing salt and all that in your body. So it's a science to how crying actually makes you feel better. It does, right? Because it's all of this built up tension, all of these built up emotions. So crying is actually healthy for you, right? And over another, like, I guess to say, like, well, imbalance or like to practice balancing when it comes to water is also like over communicating. So like speaking too much, and when I say speaking too much, it's like speaking without value, like speaking without action, right? So I realized that when it comes to all of the elements, it's all about like balancing out these elements. As I mentioned earlier, like characteristic of fire that could be looked at as like a negative is like rushing, right? I realize in my own experience, anytime I rush, I hurt myself. And that could be physically, like stubbing my toe, or it could be emotionally, like in a relationship, rushing, going too fast, right? So it's all about coming to balance, getting back grounded. Yeah, we understand that? Understand? Alright, cool. Water as well, just being too much into your emotions, meaning that you're not now like grounding what is actually taking place in your reality. You're just quickly you're reacting to things, and you're just being emotional about it, and you're taking things personal, right? And we need to learn how to ground that energy. It's okay to feel, but we have the power to detach from the things that's happening outside of us. And we, as empaths, that's a constant practice that we need to have. If we just go outside into the world and we just feeling and we're just taking in everybody's emotions, that's not gonna feel good. Real talk. All right, so let's go back to earth. Earth element will be representing like the stability, groundedness, right? Structure, organization. Those are some characteristics. A characteristic of being too much earth energy would be like rigid in your ways. So like fixed so much so that you're unwilling to change. Oh, we could talk about that. Okay. Let me finish what I'm saying. Or let me actually say that. So someone asks, how do we ground or balance it during our menstrual? So what I would actually say is, dependent on your chart and how much, like what elements you have and what elements show up in your chart. And a way that you can do that is like download one of those apps like Horos, or you can go to Astro Cafe, and like looking at the elements that's in your chart. That's kind of how I break down elements, and seeing what you have present. Or just look at your top 3, which is your sun, your moon, and your rising. And dependent on how you express these elements is to help like how you would balance. So like for instance, something that just came to me is like, all right, there's a lot of like herbs that we can take. So even when it comes to grounding, you can ground with herbs like ginger, herbs like turmeric, right? Cinnamon, nutmeg. Those are very grounding herbs. So whether you're on your menstrual or you're not on your menstrual, those will be herbs that are grounding for you. And you said, how do we ground or balance it during our menstrual? And you're saying, okay, because when you said it, I'm like, I just went to water. So just to confirm, are you speaking of balance out your emotions and your water during your menstrual? But I believe that still answered it. But yes. Okay, yes. So balancing out your emotions through that way. And then also finding other outlets for your emotions as well. So if you're feeling a lot, like during the menstrual and all that, especially, then find outlets for it. Like if you like to paint, go and paint, right? And then paint is interesting because it's also water, right? If you like to dance, go and dance. Like I promise you, dancing and sweating, or doing another activity that helps you to sweat as well. Just getting out that water, right? Like releasing that water in different ways. There's also so many ways that we can release the water and the emotion energy, like in different ways. And then I would also say journaling, meditation, in whatever way that makes sense for you. Meditation doesn't necessarily have to be Om Name Yom. Like, it doesn't always have to be that. You can also like do walking meditation, can help you balance as well. And essentially just stabilizing your thoughts. So don't be too airy. I'm gonna get into air in a minute, but like, don't just let your thoughts like fly everywhere. Okay, it's important to just ground yourself, balance, and then allow yourself to feel as well. Like, if you need to cry, then cry, but you don't need to sit in that energy all day. You don't need to spend the whole day crying. There is ways. I trust that. Let me know if that helps, and let me know if you want more, because I can help you with some more. All right, cool. All right, so continuing on the earth elements, let me like retrack. So I was talking about, okay, yes, you're welcome. Thanks for asking. I love this stuff. Yeah, I'm so passionate about it. Okay, so going back to the earth element, ways that the earth element, you can be like too much in the earth, right? Is that you would be like rigid and unable to change. So too fixed, right? So that means that you can be closed-minded to ideas. And these spontaneous, for instance, like I said fire earlier, these spontaneous ideas can be the thing that actually creates some type of change. But if you're too fixed in your ways, like think about a strong ass rock that just don't want to move, then guess what? That rock, that earth, is going to stay in that same place always, and it's never going to see transformation. It's never going to see change. It's going to see the same different day, right? So we also need to balance out our earth energy, and the way that you do that is that you allow the other elements in. So you don't be too rigid in your ways. You don't be too fixed in your ways, okay? There's a thin line, a fine line between like having discipline and then being so disciplined that you just don't allow yourself to have fun. And we don't ever want to get to that, because I've been there, y'all. I've been there. I've definitely been there, where I'm like practicing so much discipline, like especially when it comes to eating. There was a point where I was just like so extra just hard on myself about everything, because all of this food in America is wild. And then I just wouldn't eat anything, and then that was stressful in my mental, and I had to just learn how to balance that mind, body, spirit. I'm like, I do not need to be so critical of every single thing, because that creates a whole nother stress. And what I need to do is be intentional and, yes, disciplined in the things that I eat. Like, I love to wake up and drink my tea, then I eat some fruit, and then I eat solid foods. That is like literally my theme that I do. It's so funny, because the last 2 days I've been like changing that, and the reason, and I did it intentionally, because I'm just like, yo, I be like so strict on myself, which I love my discipline, but I'm just like, you know what? I was in a Bronx, so I'm like, I'm gonna wake up and eat some porridge, yo. Like, if you know, you know. I'm like, more on some porridge right here now, so I'm gonna get some porridge, and it was nice. But I still, continue my day. Like, I drink tea all day, and I still like had that balance of like not just eating BS all day. But even if you have like one day that you just eat BS, and like most of your life you don't, like, that's cool too. That's balance, right? So look at that. Like you said, okay, your weekends are cheat days. Word. I just was feeling it, because I'm just like, you know what? I've been doing so amazing. Like, I'm just gonna have this day for myself to just kind of, like eat pizza and drink bubble tea. And it felt good. But guess what? Like, today I'm back on my tea and my fruits. I had some jackfruit today, which is fire. Lately, I've been eating jackfruit, and I've been boiling the seeds inside of jackfruit, because, fun fact, those are edible. And I've been trying different recipes with that, because to me, they taste like potatoes. My aunt said they taste like, what bean? I think she said lima beans or something, but they taste like potatoes to me. And I just been doing like salt, pepper, and like olive oil. But today I made some fire rice that I actually didn't eat before this thing. I only wanted to drink my tea before this, so I can be very clear. But then I'm gonna eat my rice. And yeah, I literally, I'm gonna season it. I feel like I want to season the jackfruit seeds with like some of the seasons I did the rice. That's neither here nor there though. Okay, let's focus. Okay, back to okay, let's get to air now. And that's funny, because I'm a rising Libra, which is air element. And the way how I just went on a tangent just now, that's the representation of air. Sometimes I could just be like, oh, well, let me do this. Oh, let me do that. And it's like, that could be cool too. But wait, let me, before I get into that, let me actually just do the mudra for air. So this is a mudra for air that you could tap into air. This is the mudra for air. It's called the Vayu mudra. Okay, that's the air. And yo, it's so interesting because as I'm doing all of these mudras and showing y'all, I'm really tapping into different energies. Like I feel a difference like in each one. Like just now, like this one, I like feel in my stomach. Like I feel like this airy type of energy going through my stomach. Okay, so that's air or wind. It says wind here. Air, wind, right? Okay, so when it comes to, again, the characteristics of the air element, right, would be like flow. So you see how just now I was like talking about the earth, but then sis asked me a question. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna flow and answer your question. And then I just started talking about my whole energy about eating and da-da-da-da. That can be air, right? Like you can like change topics and you can just like flow. Like I wasn't being too rigid in my earth and being like, no, let me stay on track because this is how it's gotta be. It's like, nah, somebody asked a question, let me answer that question and then ground myself back to what I was talking about, right? And I did that. Shout out to me, shout out to the elements, utilize the elements. And then, you know, when it comes to like air also represents like the imagination, right? The imagination having, so when we say like we have a lot of thoughts, right? We also have like a lot of ideas, right? There's a lot of ideas that's just consistently like pouring into us and we're like, oh wow. And it also represents intuition. So it's like it's a form of communication because you're getting all of these ideas, all of these different things that you can do. Now, it's very important to have a balance with that, because if you're too much in that state of like, for instance, flow can also be connected to air, right? With flowing. Flow is an amazing ability. However, we always still need some type of structure. Let me just give you an example. Like if we have an event per se, let's say we got 30 people at an event. 30 people, that's a lot of different people, a lot of different energies, y'all, right? And let's say if we just totally into our air element and we're just like, yeah, I'm gonna flow. I'm just gonna flow with everything. And then you're like, you know what? Let's do this. Okay, you know what? Let's do this too. Okay, yeah, you know what? Let's do this next. Let's do this next. Oh, you know what? I didn't even think about this before, but let's do this. It can also get a bit out of order, disorderly, and out of like structure, right? Because while it's amazing to flow and go different places and have many different ideas, it can also create so much chaos that people them confuse, you confuse, they confuse, and now we just all up in the headspace, in the airspace, like, oh, let me think about that. Let me think about that, and you're not able to focus. That's what I would say a lot of air would take away, is like focus, the lack of focus. And it's truly important for us to focus. So for instance, having that earth energy of like, all right, this is the structure, this is the idea, this is that, right? And then like, let's say you have the event and maybe something something's gonna not go accordingly, because you know that's what life is, right? And your ability to be flow, to be like, you know what, I'm going to allow that to not, you know, you're not going to be too rigid. You're not going to be too earth and be like, it has to go this way. I'm going to force it. Nah, that's how we run into a rock. We're going to flow with it. Tap into that air energy. I'm going to flow with it. I'm going to flow with this. That's cool. Or whatever. But then not just completely throwing out the structure, the plan that you had and be like, you know what? Let's just flow the whole thing. Because people, for instance, who came to the event, they like, yo, you wrote this on the flyer. You're not doing this, what you said you was going to do on the flyer. Now I want my money back. Like, yo, I want my time back. Like, you're not doing what you said you was going to do, right? So it's also taking that back in, right? Holding that back in, earthing, grounding that energy, right? So you can be able to have stability. Because when we have ideas and imaginations and things that come to us with the air element, it's important that we ground it and bring it into like physical existence, unless it would just be in your head the whole time. So you can have all these thoughts, you can have all of these beautiful ideas, but if you do not ground it and bring it into physicality, then who's going to be able to benefit from it? You're not even going to be able to benefit from it if you don't take it from the mind, from the airspace, and bring it into fruition, bring the fruits, right? So that would be air. Air would also be connected to ether, which is like your divinity. That's the way I like to express it, is like your divinity, your ability to tap in, like your connectedness, the connectedness that we all have. I would say like our bodies, the way that they look like trees, the way that our bodies look like a flower, right? How we have roots, right? We have stems, and then we have like the top. What's that middle part of a flower called? I actually don't know, but like the little thing in the middle that the bees be getting the pollen from. And then our hair would be like the petals. So like we're flowers, right? So I would say the way like sacred geometry is the sacredness that our bodies and our constitution, even when we look at like our chakra points, when we look at the inside of our bodies, like our organs, how it mimics nature. So like for instance, there are things in nature that looks like the vulva. The vulva is what came to me because I see so many flowers that look like the vulva. That looks like the vulva, right? And when you look at the benefits of that flower, they're for the vulva, y'all. They're for the womb, right? There's so many examples of that in nature, that like what the fruit or the fruits or the flower may look like is literally, that's what is good for within your body as well. So that, I feel like, where we at with time? Oh, okay, I'm a little 7 minutes, a little bit. So yeah, so I feel like that was a really great explanation. I want to say, yeah, I always do this. So so this is a mudra for ether, and I want to share like a fun fact about this. Every time I be rapping, y'all, and I'm just in my space and I'm just rapping, and like, let's say I wrote some bars and I'm spitting them, I be like this. I be like da 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 da. And I remember one day I had to like look this up, because I'm like, what am I doing with my hands? I'm like, I'm not in a gang. I was gonna say I never been in a gang, but technically, but I'm like, I'm not in a gang right now. I'm just in a spiritual gangster gang. That's the only gang I know. And the love gang, you heard. But I'm like, what is this? And then I looked it up and it was ether. And I'm like, yo, what are the chances that when I'm tapping into my, you know, my sacred space of me creating, me getting music, doing music, that I'm always going like this? And then it made me connect to our peoples, okay, that be in the hoods, and these little boys and these little children, they be like, oh, putting up all these signs, and they don't even know that they're really tapping into some ancient, okay, history, her story about their movements. They're doing all these gang signs because they actually are mudras, and they literally are tapping into different energies without even knowing it. I realized that when I'm in my space of like the ether element, and I let the ether element like take control, like I would say, or like be dominant, where I'm not overthinking anything. Oh, that's another thing when it comes to air. You could also be overthinking about stuff if you don't ground it. So that's why it's important to ground. But like when I just let the ether energy take over, I literally be doing things that I didn't know that I could do. I tap into superpowers that I didn't know that I had. So it's like I'm tapping into my ancestors, like my ancient knowledge, my inner wisdom again. There's certain movements that I would do. There's certain, like when I was in Africa, there's like I have like the bow staff. I had like this eucalyptus staff, right, that I was gifted out there. And I just started one day, I literally just went into nature and I just started twirling it. And I started doing all of these types of movements with it, all of these movements. Then I looked it up because I was like, yo, what am I tapping into right now? But this is fun. But I was like, let me look it up. Like, what is this? And then it's funny because I ended up finding like this black man, and he basically is like the founder of it, or like that's what he's put as. The reason why I go like this is because it's all ancient. It's all ancient. So it's like he's tapping into his ancestors as well. But yeah, bow staff apparently is like a fighting and a dancing style. It's with the bow staff, and he like teaches these classes on how you do it and everything. And I started watching his videos, and I'm like, bruh, I was just doing this, bruh. Like, nobody told me how to do this. Like, granted, I do remember when I was little, I used to like twirl batons here and there, but it wasn't crazy. But what I was doing with the staff, again, it was just me tapping into my ether, like my energy, and I just was doing it. And it was just so fun. So to find the synchronicities of the things that we already have inside of ourselves, I find it so beautiful, so magical. And I would challenge you to tap more into that. With everything being said today, within all of the elements, if there is an element that you feel like you don't tap into much, I would challenge you to tap into that. If there's an element that you feel like could be excessive for you, I would challenge you to find balance with that. I would challenge you to utilize all of the elements for what they are and come into balance. Sis said, when you stay in high frequency, you will forever get downloads from the ancestors. Ashe. And I also realized, to add to that, I also realized when you are open to receive as well, and you don't block your own inner knowingness, because there are times that we could like overthinking again. It's like, oh, well, what am I doing? I look silly, like, release all of that. Release looking crazy, release looking silly, like, release all of that and be grounded in your own aura, your own energy, and allow yourself to feel, allow yourself to move, allow yourself to express, because you will always, like sis said, receive the answers from your ancestors. And what you're supposed to be tapping into, like for myself, son, when it comes to herbs, and when it comes to like, if you would have told me like before 2019 that I would be like into herbs and that kind of stuff, I would be like, for real? Like, I was always like, I feel like I was always very picky with the things that I ate, but I never really see myself to be like an herbalist or ever be like into that kind of thing. I was always open to learning things, but like fast forward now to be into herbs the way I'm into herbs now, and just like this whole holistic medicine. And then also lately I've been tapping into the magic of flowers and the benefits that flowers have for us. See, that I would have believed, because I'm like, what? I love flowers. Like, if you could tell me I could eat flowers, come through. I would have been eating flowers, y'all. But the way that I'm into, true word, spirit just made me look at it, the way I'm into biology now. Because in college, y'all, I did not finish my degree. I'm very close to like finishing, but one of the classes that I didn't finish, and I took probably, I didn't withdraw from like 2-3 times, is biology, is science, y'all. And the fact that I'm into biology so much now, the biology of the plant, the biology of the body, like I would have never known. And I was into like chemistry and the periodic table and the elements, again, like what today is about, the elements. I was always into elements, but that biology thing, I would have been like, I ain't gonna do that. And now I realize that I'm a biologist in its own right, like tapping into the benefits of herbs and just like going tapping deep. And then now there's a book, where's that? Well, it's a little far from here, but there's a book right now that I've been, I don't know, I gotta get it. It's not that far. Actually, there's this book that is so effing amazing. It's called Evolutionary Herbalism, Science, Spirituality, and Medicine from the Heart of Nature, from Saja Pop Him. The reason why this book is so absolutely divine and magical is because it connects the herbs to the astrology signs, y'all, and to the different elements, y'all. And it literally bases it off of Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, and botany and biology. So it's not just like, oh yes, this one way. It's connecting all of it. It's making all of those divine connections through it to share with you truth. So for instance, there's certain, like I was telling sis earlier about like ginger being like a grounding herb connected to earth, right? There's so many plants and flowers that are connected to each element. So if you are perhaps having trouble with an element, or you would like to just practice more tapping into that element, what can help support you is like some of the mudras that I showed you earlier. And then also get the herb, get these herbs, get these different, tap into these herbs. And like even when it comes to Ayurveda, I would inspire you to tap into Ayurveda, because what I love most about Ayurveda is that it's not so strict, as in, for instance, it's not just for like vegans or plant-based, or for if you eat meat, or if you're a pescatarian. It's for everybody, because it literally breaks down the constitution of different foods. So for instance, like your nuts, it will break down like what element each nut is, each cashew or sunflower seed or whatever it is, right? And then knowing your dosha, which is the elements that are present within your own constitution, your own body. And then once you know your dosha, and then you know the element of the foods that you are consuming, you can customize a way that you are supposed to be eating to come into balance. And there's different elements that are in fish and steak, and then in your plant-based foods, and your vegan foods, and your vegetarian foods. So it's for everybody, and it's not just telling you one way to eat. It's literally connecting to that truth of life, which is coming into balance with self. That's why there's not truly, and I've never believed that there's one way to tell people to eat, because it's really about you learning yourself and your body, how you react to different foods, and then again coming into balance. Because we know if it's too much fire, it's going to be this, it's going to be hot, right? There's certain foods, even like dry, wet, cold, hot, right? So it's going to be too much of this. So you don't want too much of anything. Again, it's all about coming back into balance. And you can look around the world and see that balance is a truth, a universal law of life that forever was and forever will be. You can look at the scale. You can even look at the idea that there would be no up without down. There would be no left without right. Okay? There would be no hot without cold. So these things in life are showing us that the truth of the universe is balance. And that's the reason why I really wanted to tap into the elements today, because in the zodiac chart, I realized that there can be people that tell you like, oh, you're this way because you're Sagittarius. You're this way because you're Aries. You're blah, 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 blah. That's just looking at the sun signs anyway, which is not balanced, because you have so much that creates you. It's not just your sun signs. Secondly, that is just looking at an aspect, like again, an aspect of your personality. But if we can just break down things elementally wise, right? And we can take a look at our full chart and look at the elements within our chart, and then also take a look at our doshas, take a look at our personalities, right? That will help you as well. And what elements are you tapping into? Which ones are you not tapping into? Then we can find a customized self-love plan for ourselves, mind, body, and spirit. Yes, balance is also necessary. Is necessary always. Ashe, ashe. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. If there's any other topics that's connected to astrology, tarot, I-Ching, herbalism, or any of the things that I mentioned today, your magic inside of you that you would like me to like deep dive more on, please let me know in the comment section. Also, if there's any reflections that you have, I would also love you to share. Outside of that, I thank you so much for tuning in and your love and support. And this was so fun to me, y'all. Like, I love this stuff so much. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your being. And I give gratitude for you. I give gratitude for myself. I give gratitude for breath, for love, for life. Let's actually just end with some breaths. Again, we started off with some breaths, so we go end with some breaths. I didn't say breaths, I said breaths. Hands at center. Take a deep inhale through the nose. And hold. And release. Take another deep inhale from the nose. And hold. And release. Take one more deep inhale, bring it down to the toes. And hold. And release. Give yourself a hug. Say, I love me. I am worthy. I am balanced. I am open to receive. I have everything that I need. I am abundant. I am prosperous. I am grateful. I am love. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Little bit of mocha, little bit of mocha, little bit of mocha, little bit of mocha. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for tuning in. And yes, we're going to have some more of these, and I'm going to start bringing more people on. When I was doing these lives before, I always had like a special guest, and I've just been trying out different new things because I just been like, I feel like you're supposed to allow change and allow yourself to receive different energies of how things will flow. So I was interested in how these conversations will flow if I didn't have the guests, because at certain times when I had the guests, I was like, dang, there's so much stuff I want to say, but I'm like focusing on what they have to say. And I feel like going back to the idea of balance and having myself speak at times, and then also having others speak at other times. So thank you for tuning in, everyone. I love you so much. I trust that you have a beautiful, brilliant night. And I bubbly love you so much. Speak to you soon. See you soon. Bye-bye now.